This is Richard back at you. Today we got Red's 95 Chevy pickup in the house. But before that, we have a lot of thanking to do, guys. We've been getting things in the mail every day for Annie, for Teresa, for me, Trent. I mean, just everything. So we want to say thank you to everybody. Teresa, you want to start out?
Okay, so let's start with, okay, so we have some stuff from William out of Weston, Florida. He sent us some
Ghost gloves?
ghost gloves.
Yep, this is his second batch, I believe he sent us. Is it, Trent?
Well, he sent us that, and then he sent us.
Yeah, he also sent this.
Yes. I've been trying this stuff. It's really good on sanding your 4L60 drums and stuff like that. Really aggressive. Hangs together good. You can tear it in different lengths and stuff. Works really good. Appreciate that for sure. The ghost gloves, I've tried my other stuff we got. It works really good too. So we want to appreciate that and thank you very much.
Easy cleanup. Comes
Yes,
right off.
right off.
Okay, so now we have, it's a headlight because, you know, we struggle with Richie looking into the, you know, the transmission and stuff. This is from Paul from California. He says, I enjoy watching your videos, which are great and informative. I thought since you and I both enjoy Milwaukee tools, that this headlamp would be useful when working on transmissions.
Definitely. This is going to be exciting to wear. Haven't opened it because we wanted to do the video first, but I'm excited to get this thing charged up and use it because I do a lot of R&R.
You do. Here.
Oh, Trent, you can borrow it.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be the first one to test that out.
So,
Okay.
Annie, you're so special to everybody in all of our videos. So, little girl, you know you get something every day.
She does. So someone sent her this bed that you can put an old pillow on one side and another side is just fluffy. And I haven't opened it up to use it yet, but we're excited to use it. So thank you very much. Okay.
Come here, Annie.
Next, we have all of this stuff that someone sent her from Chewy. And her favorite one is the fish.
As you can tell.
Yeah.
It's the fish.
She's already chewed off the fins.
No.
We almost can't get this away from her. She loves this thing.
She loves the fish.
She got her a coffee cup.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, Annie. Huh? You love that too.
Everybody likes coffee.
And she got some balls. Oh, I'm sorry. She also got some treats. I forgot to
yes.
grab them. Thank you for those. FYI though, she is a chewer.
She will
So,
chew up everything.
This may not last very long.
Come here. Come here. Sit.
But yeah.
Sit down.
She says, this is my
Sit.
toy.
Sit.
But we do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Probably the tail is going to go next, guys.
Yes, huh? She's so
Okay.
precious. We just love her to death.
She's-
We'll train her. We've been training her, getting her to set and roll over and all that type stuff. But she will not speak, guys. We've got the best treats in town, and she will not speak. We don't know why. But anyway, we do have Red's 4L60 in the house. I have a 95 Chevy pickup. It barely moves. I think it lost third gear or stuff like that. So pretty wore out. Now he just bought the truck. He don't know much about it, but it is a really nice truck. He got a really good deal on it. So he wanted to make sure he put the best tranny back in it because it's the last vehicle that he's going to be driving.
Thank you, Trent.
Welcome. Back to work you go.
Yep. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take off the shifter linkage right here and we're going to pull this neutral safety switch off. Most of these will not come unplugged. When they had some grease that they put in there to make the plug slide in real easy, and it actually had a reaction and bonded the two plugs in, so you can't unplug them. You have to take this off. So, but if you do, you want to get in here and try to file these little edges off right here on both sides. When you tighten this bracket down right here, it flares it out right here on the edges. So you want to do that. That way you can just pull this right off like that. If not, it'll get hung here and you'll end up damaging it right through here and you end up buying another switch. So, and you don't want to do that. Now this is the early model non-removable bell housing. Annie's over there playing with her toys. Annie, what are you doing? What you got? She's funny.
She likes her toys.
She does love her toys. We take her everywhere with us. She's just like a little kid. Now we are going to upgrade this to a Corvette servo. He's going to be doing a little bit of towing, stuff like that. We're going to put a wide band in it. Now you always want to look in here for your fluid in your connector. This connector is nice and dry. No signs of leaking. Now he serviced it before he brought it to us, so you're not going to really see a ton in the pan. But once he serviced it, he said he knew right then that it was in trouble. Got our heater turned off now, not using any of our oil. We're going to start saving it up for the winter. We start early. We have to get at least 8 55-gallon drums filled up. And then whatever we don't, we got a 1,000-gallon tank out back that we save for reserve. Now you notice this shaft here. I was going to find a later version. I actually do have one right here that I cut off where I started testing torque converters. But this is the later version shaft. The O-ring will be here. This is an early design. The O-ring's here. If this O-ring is shrunk up, 90% of the time it is. Most time I can just come in here and break it, and it'll just break right off because it's hard. There you go. So it's already flattened on the sides. It's not round anymore to do any sealing. It was shrunk down into the groove. So that tells you there, once it's like that, your lockup system is not going to work at all. It might work cold and then start going away when it gets hot. So now we still have a PWM solenoid here. We have your 3-2 downshift solenoid. You always want to change these O-rings on here. There's one here and one right here. This thing come in with 0 codes. 0 codes. Now you have your lockup solenoid here. Now you can see the early design wiring harnesses. You can see the wiring all the way through it. The later versions, it keeps it more cleaned up. Another cover here, you can't see the wiring and stuff like that. So, and this is a early style pressure control solenoid. Now you notice here we have this little, I guess it's a little protector that keeps fluid from splashing on the dipstick so you can check it. Some of them have them, some of them don't. Some of them look different than others. So it doesn't have to have it, I guess. Some of them don't have them, like I said. But that's the only thing I can think of is why that's there, is just to keep fluid from splashing on the dipstick tube so you can check it better. Of course, we have our manifold pressure switch bolts. We have our 3 8mm bolts here, different length. Then we have our 10mm here, that is a different length. And then we have our little shorties here, that is a different length. So you got to be careful when you put these. Your 8mm will always go in this little L shape here. Your long tins will go in your manifold. Your shorter tins will go here and here. So pretty simple. And this is a real early design manifold switch. All the components are exposed to metal, all the connectors and stuff like that. The later version, they put a cover over here. That way metal don't settle down into the circuit board and stuff like that and cause issues, because they were having big time issues with these here. So. Now we're going to look in here. This will be just a solid metal valve, a one-piece valve right here. There's really no way to, you could block this. You just have to go get 2 different valves and put them in here to block them out. But a single valve like this, it works really good still as a PWM solenoid system, I mean. Then we have our forward accumulator spring here. See if it's plastic or aluminum. The early ones usually were aluminum. Didn't see much wear in these at all, neither. Really still a good piston. If it's plastic, get rid of it. Common failure. This valve here, and this little spring goes on it like that. You got your shift solenoids. You can check these too. You can ohm them out, put 12 volts to them, click them, make them work. Always change the O-rings. So. And then you got your check bolts here. You can leave every one out but this one right here if you messed up something, but if you leave that one there out, you're in trouble. Now if you notice here, he's got a round hole gasket. He's got a valve body for V for valve body. Then we got our accumulator here. Tracy, you're looking good in your suit there, keeping the oil splashed off your clothes.
And he thinks I'm a nanner.
Yeah, she does. Now we have a piston here. This is the ones we're going to be using. Got the taller shank on it. Keeps the piston more straighter in the bore, going up and down. Less wear, less leakage around the pin. People don't realize you could have a good seal and the pin bore wore out. It'll still leak by and burn the tranny up, burn the band or clutch up, whichever circuit you're working with. So. Got a little bit of wear here, but you can see the difference, how much bigger that hole is there compared to these here, how much it's been beat on. But this is a repairable plate. We got our manual valve linkage here. The 4L60 and the 700 is longer, so it is different. And then we're going to come here and look. We got a round hole. And right here, if I can get this off, if you look through here, it has a C for case. That tells you that gasket goes against the case. Now on your 4th gear accumulator right here, we'll be blocking this. We'll just double stack it with some pistons and do away with it. We will not beat a check ball in the case and run the case. Same way here. There's nothing wrong with the harness. It doesn't seem to be leaking in the connector. We'll cut this off here. We can put a fit-off solenoid here. You can put 12 volts to it, power it up, check it for if it has a ball in here that rattles. If it rattles good, you can blow through here. Different ways of checking it. It's easier to replace it. But you got to remember too, guys, nowadays electronics ain't what they used to be. So what you buy new don't mean it's always good. So, but you have your park assembly here. You can kind of look down here and see your park turning. When I push on this, it'll lock down into that little groove and lock it in park. Will not let the drive shaft turn no more. See? So now this is a 4-wheel drive. Got the 4-wheel drive adapter on the back of it. Got the 4-wheel drive case. Got the aluminum dust cover instead of the little tin cheap dust cover that goes on them. Get in here and look at the pump real quick. You notice here it does say PWM, pulse width modulating. So this is a PWM pump. Even though it's a PWM pump, you can block the lockup valve and stop the PWM. So you want to look in here for any wear. Just got a little bit of shadowing. Stator looks good here. You want to look down in here for any wear. If this bushing goes bad right here, this shaft will rub right here, down inside here, and where the sealing rings run for your forward, your engine brake clutch, and your 3/4 clutch will burn up. So you want to look in here, check here. Always put new rings on it. Now we have a 10 vein pump here, 10 paddles. Boy, these pump kits are getting hard to get, guys. These rings right here, they're precious like gold. So the 13 vein pumps, really struggling to get. The 10 veins we can get. Everybody says, is a 13 vein stronger than a 10? You know, I've seen them both break, so you can start to see a lot of wear on the slide. The bluing's gone. You get over here and you can see the bluing appear. And then it just fades away through here. So, pretty common problem. Now it is a 2-stage spring too. The later ones will have a cone spring and be a single. Some of the early ones only had one of these and didn't have this. So if you have this and you have one of these, you can put that in there and put it in there just like that. In any unit, except the late versions, I wouldn't recommend changing. I'd keep the cone spring in there. And then you don't want to forget your little spring. You want to look for any wear on your pin. That's what keeps this slide really straight and level. So if you get wear, you want to replace it. You can see shadow here. I have to take these gloves off to see if there's physically wear, but you can see shadow. And you got your seal retainer. Always glue that on with some good 3M. Glue your seal in with some 3M. The new bushing we got is a coated bushing. Pump body looks really nice. People say, Richard, why do you lay your guns in oil? Well, if that gun can't last in oil, it don't need to be in my shop. So, needless to say, that gun can last in oil. So, needless to say, still in my shop. So, have no issues with that gun, any of my guns so far, and I've just literally drowned them in oil. Got your standard band. Now we're going to be putting a wide band back in here. I say he's going to be a little bit of towing, but not much. He's just mainly going for longevity, stuff like that. So, got a big hole drum in it here. They do make a small hole drum. You do not want to interchange them. Got your reverse clutch. Starting to see a little bit of wear. And why you see that wear like that is because this bevel plate starts in the middle of the steel and then flattens outward. So what it does is it puts that imprint on that clutch right there. So basically this steel right here is probably bowed a little bit like that, and that's why you're starting to see that wear. You can just see here how it's shinier right here on the edges and not out here. It's
Yeah.
because of the way that flattens out. Now when this flattens out, this does two purposes. It softens the shift, but also acts as a check ball. Basically what I'm saying is, if you look at this hole down in here, see that hole? There's no check ball. But when this flattens out against there, it plugs that hole up and acts like a check ball. See? So once it relaxes the clutch, the plate lifts up, squirts fluid out that hole, relaxes the clutch even faster. So that's what a check ball does too. So. Drum looks really good around here with the reverse clutch runs. You got your sealing rings here. Always want to check this bearing here for any type of whine. Not so much whine, but if your vehicle whined when you pulled it out, it could be whining not so much of a pump or a bad filter. It could be whining because of this bearing right here. If I can get it off there. There we go. This is a real critical bearing on whining in park and neutral. Also, we have a selective shim right here. You see it has a 70 on it. Some of them come 68, 69. So that is selective to set your in clearance up. Now, this is your 3/4 clutch. This clutch comes on in third gear and stays on in fourth. It does have the load springs in it. You can see here that they're starting to get pretty wore out. Like I said, I'm not really for sure what this thing was doing right offhand. Like I said, it had no codes in it at all. We have our forward clutch, our engine brake clutch looks really good. Check our sprag, see if it's working. Spin one way, locks the other. Checking for wear. Looks really nice there. Looks really nice here. Look for any chatter marks or anything like that. Scotch brought that up. Same way here. Scotch brought that up. Looks really nice. So, look on both sides of this sun gear. Like I say, you have a load side forward and a load side on reverse when you let off the gas. So, and we have our band anchor. That goes in the band like that. And you have your servo that comes in here.
When you're supposed to wear your headlights.
Yeah, so I can see down in there, huh? There you go. So the older you get, the blinder you get. Now we do have a thrust washer here, so you can see here, this is where we have an issue going on. We got a lot of metal being made. You can see this is all wiped out, which we'll be putting a roller bearing style. Let me grab one real quick. Bag. You can see here, plastic and oil and rubber gloves don't get along. We have a brand new AC Delco bearing. Now you can see where this washer runs right there like that, and what we're doing is we're putting a roller bearing in here. Get rid of that washer. See. This can come off, just slip that in there. You don't see on these here, they had an issue wearing here really bad. They were really soft. And then this new one, they hardened here. Well, now we have an issue of them wearing here, where this one here never had an issue wearing there. That almost got my finger. Actually, it did get my finger through my glove. Look at that. Darn it. Call an ambulance.
Number 2.
But so you don't ever see any wear here. You see very little. They probably don't have any miles on this truck. But when you pull these later versions out, you always see wear here. So that'll go right in there. Clean it up, get the metal out of it. Same way on the sun gear or the ring gear here, you want to look on both sides because you have a load side and a coast side. Same way with this Planetary gears, load side, coast side on both sides. Look where your bushing runs. That bushing right there. Now, what happens is a lot of times if you try to tow in 4th gear, this is kills this washer right here. When they added tow haul, they added this bearing. And actually they, even later on in the years, they went to the bigger B85 torque converter too. So they went to the removable bell housing, and then they went to a thicker removable bell housing. So they changed it up quite a bit. Now also, let me get this out of here. Okay, now here's a thrust washer that sets here, a little plastic one. You can get them in metal too. Very seldom you see anywhere. But you can see here where the shell twisted off right here and broke. That's where all the metal come from that got up on top of this washer because it's on the other side here. See, like that. So once this strip created all kinds of metal, it got up on top of this washer, wiped this out too. So that's what happened there. But like I said too, if you tow heavy, you can wipe that washer out too. So this sun gear, you gotta look on both sides. Look for any wear. This piece will come off. We can possibly use this as long as the sun gear is good. We don't ever see any wear on the splines because this thing is hard as a rock. The shell is really soft. The new shell we got is a hardened shell. So it's a big upgrade too. So. Make sure the case looks good, and it does. Let me just get a little bit bigger persuader. I can get that out of there. There we go. We're going to pull out our case anti-clunk spring. We'll get in here and look at our Planetary assembly, our low reverse clutches. Now you can see here, I don't know if this thing's had water in it before or something like that. You see how the material has just fell off the clutch plate. There's no more clutch on it. And normally when you see that, it's because of water. It's not so much the clutch plate wore out, it's just the lining fell off. So this thing could have been in the water. Because you see how that lining's off there too completely. So look at your sprag assembly, look at your inner race. Looks really nice. Scotch-Brite this all up. Put your new sprag in there. Come here and look at your Planetary. Grab these gears and try to make them wobble. If they don't wobble, they're good. Check your thrust washers. Check that little bearing down in there because this little bearing has a really big failure rate. So you're going to put that gear on there. Sit here and kind of push on it really hard. And you can feel how that bearing feels down in there. If it feels good, you don't have any wobbling or anything like that, spline looks good, got you a good Planet. Same way this outer ring gear here, you want to look on both sides for wear because you have a load side and a coast side. So And you have your 4-wheel drive shaft. If you want to make this a 2-wheel drive, grab your 2-wheel drive shaft, put this one to the side, start putting this thing back together. And just like that, just start putting it together. Put your tail housing on the end with a speed sensor. You got your 2-wheel drive tranny. That's how simple that is. You want a 4-wheel drive tranny, same thing. Take the 2-wheel drive shaft out, put your 4-wheel drive shaft in, put your adapter on here. There physically is nothing you have to do. A 4L80E, if you do that, you're in trouble. There's something in the back of the case you have to modify, so you don't want to do a 4L80E that way. But a 4L60 700, if you look down in here, you have a little spray hole right there. See that little hole right there? That's what sprays and lubricates your speedometer gears, your tail housing bushing for your 2-wheel drive and stuff like that. So that, even 4-wheel drive, that hole is always going to be bleeding and spraying, no matter what. 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, it doesn't matter. If you do a 4L80E, totally different deal. That hole right there is capped on a 4-wheel drive. A 2-wheel drive, it has a cap in there with a hole in it to feed the bushing, the rear tail housing bushing, so you don't want to mess up there at all. So this is going to be pretty nice. Red, you're going to really like this unit when I get it built. Teresa, I want to thank you for doing the camera today. And Annie, I know you're around here somewhere. she wanders. So, is she sleeping? Is she? So hey, if y'all need anything, give us a holler. We're really busy though. Try not to call because the phone's been out tucked for 5 months. Definitely, so I know that ain't going to happen. But don't forget to subscribe. Leave some messages there on our fanbook page. We try to get back to you there a little bit. I can only answer so many a night, guys. It's just one of me. So y'all stay tuned. Have a great day.